All right, everybody, welcome aboard the world-famous Monkeysnot podcast. Here we are with episode number 98 of 100 Hours of Monkeysnot, and my name is Greg Gately.
And I am Denny Zartman, and we're joined, as always, by our friend, fellow Monkeysnot member, and co-host, Jesse Morton. Jesse, welcome to the show.
Good evening, gentlemen. Glad to see you. Good to see everybody.
Glad to have you.
Great to see you, too. We are a punk jazz band that started in Atlanta, Georgia, and now has spread out all over the United States and indeed the world. Jesse is our man in Mexico. Greg is on the West Coast, chilling in Hollywood, and I am over here holding down the fort in Atlanta, Georgia. And we do a lot of stuff on this podcast, talk about stuff that's happening in our news, things that are happening in our lives and our careers. Also, we chronicle Greg's career in stand-up comedy. We talk about stuff that's going on in popular culture, and we also play the music of our band. We've run out of Monkeysnot music, but we might have a couple of surprises coming up in our big 100th episode, so keep on the lookout for that. But this episode, we're going to feature two songs from my solo album, Secrets Told by Liars. This is a track called Mean Killer Machine, and you're hearing it right now on the Monkeysnot podcast. I'm a killer and a mean machine. You can run it up. I'm a killer and a mean machine. You can tell me now. 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 I'm a killer and a mean machine.
Right, 6.
All right.
Yeah.
Great.
Good stuff, Dennis.
Good stuff. Yeah.
Hey, thank you very much.
Did Kanye West write that for you?
He should have. Boy, he would be.
Did you write it for him?
Did you write it for him and he passed, or what?
That was an experiment, boy. I wrote that probably around 2011 or 12 is when this album came out. It was when I was spending time in California. Greg was good enough to let me crash on the floor of his office for a while. I lived in a couple of different places during my almost 3 years in Los Angeles. And this is the album I produced while I was out there. It was a real fit of creative inspiration, and I was doing a lot of things to try to get a lot of different sounds. And I found a website, I believe it's called UJam, the letter U, J-A-M, and you can record music into it, playing yourself an instrument, and it'll convert it into other instruments. Believe it or not, the theme song to our podcast here was created on UJam, created by me playing a ukulele, believe it or not. You can't hear any of that ukulele, but, well, in the melody, yeah, but all the backing stuff is done by computer, and the lead is a ukulele that has been computer processed. So this was something that came out of my experimentations with UJam and just having a real creative flow that I was like, I'm going to do this and I'm going to hit it and I'm not going to really second guess myself, and ideas were coming fast. And part of you listens to it and goes, "Oh man, that auto tune is terrible," but I don't think it sounds bad on this song at all for some reason. It fits with the intensity of it. No,
Now,
and it's a tribute to Jesse. It's basically a riff on his song "Funky Time with the Dog." I took a few of those little lyrics and kind of repurposed it for the whole gist of this. So here's to you, Jess. It's a Morton tribute.
It's very good. I like it. That was a great one.
Everything all right?
Dog fight. They're sad.
Whose neighborhood is there?
That's my neighborhood. There's about 5 yippy dogs that howl for about 10 minutes, and then they'll all stop instantly. Like it's like somebody just went. Oh.
All right. The Beastmaster.
There you go.
And say you should record it, and then we could put a beat under it and make it another track.
Yeah. I can do that.
That was
Danny,
impressive.
that was pretty impressive, actually. You want to come over to my house? Anytime.
All right, well, let's talk about all this stuff that's happening in the news and pop culture since we've been. I'm a big Saturday Night Live nerd, and Saturday Night Live had a big anniversary. Jesse, did you get to see the whole show?
I did get a chance to see the 40th anniversary show. Jenny, just to let you know, you're kind of wavering a little bit. I can't really understand you very much. I don't know if it's just me.
Yeah, and if for those of you who might be listening, Danny was referring to the Saturday Night Live's SNL 40 anniversary special that was on recently. And as many of you out there may know, all of us grew up with Saturday Night Live. I mean, it's for us, it's just been a big part of our lives since we were kids. I mean, I remember seeing my first episode at like 5 or 6, and was a fan. I was a fan ever since. So that was cool, kind of seeing some of the old bits and everything. But I'll ask you first, Jenny. What was your overall impression of the show?
I thought it was good. It was like ironically enough, a Saturday Night Live themed Oscar telecast. Is what it really felt like to me.
Yeah, I agree.
I was really surprised that Dan Aykroyd did a repeat of the Bass-O-Matic and not something new and different. And I was really kind of hoping for something more. Of course, I think we were all hoping for something more from Eddie Murphy. It was kind of disappointing that he didn't have much to do. But overall, I had a good enough time with it. It's a lot of self-celebration, obviously, and patting itself on the back. But Steve Martin looked good and had the correct amount of energy. We got to see a little bit of Bill Murray, and he lit up the night with his tiny bit of business there. So
the Jaws theme.
He sang the theme to Jaws, and it killed. Everybody loved it.
Now you probably know this because I'm not entirely sure what was going on. Is there some kind of bad blood between Lorne Michaels and Eddie? Because I wasn't aware of any of that.
I can tell you this whole story. It happened with David Spade did a Hollywood Minute where they put a picture of Eddie up there, and David said, "Look, Mommy, a falling star." And this hurt his feelings so much he could never bring himself to come back to Saturday Night Live. He was just
really
so pissed off. Well, that's 80% of it. 20% of it is criticism from Billy Crystal that when Eddie came back and hosted Saturday Night Live, he really wasn't involved and was late to the rehearsals and didn't rehearse very much. So Billy Crystal basically questioned Eddie's work ethic, and that's another reason why Eddie Murphy doesn't want to go do these things or be around Saturday Night Live. But it's mainly the David Spade thing.
Wow.
And I recently realized that it's kind of hypocritical on Eddie.
Hold on a second. Hold on. Jesse.
Sorry.
It's like you just finished, you were scratching around there, and then, yeah, there you go.
Okay.
All right.
Say
that again. Say that part again, Danny.
Okay. I can
pick it up from
back.
Yeah. You were talking about how, you thought it was hypocritical on Eddie's part?
It was hypocritical on Eddie's part because he had done a bit about them reinstating the draft on Weekend Update or whatever it was called when Eddie was first there, and he ended the bit about them possibly reinstating the draft by putting up a picture of Garrett Morris and saying, yeah, he may be a little old, but I hear he's got a lot of free time on his hands. To me, that's also a blow shot.
Okay, all right.
I hope so. Jesse, did you mute yourself? I'm trying to unmute you.
Hello, can you hear me? All right.
Yes, we can hear you.
Sorry about that, guys. I totally forgot where the microphone sound thing came from. So sorry about that.
Okay.
I was listening intently and trying to clean the screen at the same time. Stupid idea. Anyway, yeah. Well, to me it seems kind of strange that he would have be so for lack of a better term, butthurt about any criticism. From anything I've ever read about Saturday Night Live, it's all the writers' room is constantly about criticism and warring and trying to get basically talking bad about the other writers or actors to get your bit put on better more. I mean, maybe I've read the wrong books, or am I?
Well, there's that, and then on top of that is the fact that what also makes it hypocritical is the fact that Eddie's a comedian, and stand-up comedians, comics, I mean, when you get them together, even if you're just hanging out, and nobody's on stage, if you're hanging out, eventually you're going to start just ripping each other because that's what you do, right? It's just part of the fraternity. It's like, any kind of group of friends who are around each other, they're going to, eventually jab each other about little things. And with comedians, it can be, from an outsider's perspective, it can sound even more vicious. But most of the time, it's not meant with any kind of malice. It's just, it's kind of like the verbal equivalent of hockey players. Comics to get together and I'm going to put this guy in the wall, but it's not personal, and he's going to put me in the wall sometimes, and and at the end of the day, we're going to shake hands and maybe go grab a beer. And so Eddie's got to know that no matter how cutting the joke might be, it's probably not personal. And even if it is, so what? We're all, you guys are comedians, and it's coming from another comedian. It's not like today we have the internet and some random blogger just lays out and blasts you. You're taking a shot from one of your own, and he's doing the exact same to you that you did to one of your own. And so that's what, to me, is like the biggest kind of surprise. Well, Eddie, come on, you should know better. I mean, this is the tribe you belong to. I mean, did you forget?
And it makes you think. It makes you think that if it were him on Saturday Night Live and at that time, in this time when social media and instant tweeting and instant commentating and whatever, comedians dog on each other all the time on Twitter, and it's just straight out of fun, or just making jokes about each other. I can just imagine.
Let me deal with that.
I can just imagine, just the same thing happening, or how it would affect him now, as opposed to even then, if it affected him so big with just somebody, David Spade on one, sideline show and Billy Crystal grumbling, now he would not be able to handle it. Do you think? I mean, I don't know. I mean, I wonder how he handled the fact that everybody basically kind of was upset or picked on him or whatever about him not doing much on the show, the big show. And I know everybody was saying that Chris Rock's introduction was twice as long as what Eddie said. So.
Yeah, we saw more of Joe Christopher than we did Eddie Murphy, and that's just. I like Joe Christopher. I'm not ragging on him. I love everybody who's been on Saturday Night Live, even the people that we have grown to hate. I love them all.
Hold on. You said everybody. Does that include Mr. Mike?
That includes Mr. Mike, yes.
All right. Does that include Charles Rocket?
Definitely. Oh, poor Charles Rocket. My heart goes out to that man. Tony Rosado, love him. I'll even forget Victoria Jackson.
Wait a minute. Even Robin Duke?
I love Robin Duke. She's like the best.
Everybody hates Robin Duke. No, I'm kidding.
You've never seen Groundhog Day? She plays the witch with such aplomb. She was really robbed at the Oscars that year. And speaking of the Oscars, that was just the other night, and we can give you our quick summary of what we thought of the program. Jesse, you are way down there in Mexico. What did you think about the Oscars? Do you have Oscar fever? Does that sweep the country at this time of year?
No, not really. I mean, here, a lot of the expats, they'll get together. They got together, I think, last night, about 40 of them at some restaurant, watched it on a big screen TV. I watched it here, basically right where I am now on my porch, streaming it live, and I was overall kind of, it was a long show, as it always is. I didn't really think that Neil was as good as he was in past years. It's Neil Patrick Harris who was hosting. Let's see. I thought that I'm going to just touch on a few things. Lady Gaga, she did a great job. If you played that audio for me without telling me who it was, I would never have guessed it was Lady Gaga. Because I don't know Lady Gaga besides, Poker Face and shit like that.
Right.
It was great. I love the whole production number of the Selma song. That was great, and the fact that they won right after was also amazing. Good for them. Our buddy Omar, I think, tweeted a picture later on of him holding the Oscar that his co-star won. Let's see. I kind of was rooting for Birdman. I know a lot of people weren't. I know that Denny's mom didn't like it.
Let's care against it.
Yeah, she wants to protest. I think she's like, Selma lost to this.
Yeah, did you see Birdman, Greg?
I didn't.
Suck.
I know.
What kind of Hollywood fan are you?
I gotta catch it for it. No, we were supposed to go see it together, and then Deb went and saw it without me, and it's a whole thing. So I'm like, all right, I gotta find the time and the space to go see it while it's still in the theater, because we've seen everything else pretty much. So, especially since it deals with like superheroes. I mean, that should be a no-brainer. But I'm not mad at any of the winners. I thought the telecast was pretty good. I liked the Lady Gaga. I liked the song, and more importantly, it was a beautiful tribute to Julie Andrews. And I thought that was a great moment when she came out and they had exchanged a hug and all of that. And yeah, you're right. Lady Gaga was like unbelievable, and it shouldn't be any surprise. I believe she was classically trained. But of course, you wouldn't know that based on her pop persona. Um, but I thought I was watching that, and I'm like, this could be kind of a career changer. You know, she could be getting a lot more. She might start getting a lot more work in other areas besides, her Lady Gaga identity. In terms of just doing soundtracks, kind of like Idina Menzel has gotten over.
Right.
So
Well, she's
I thought that
got she's did her thing duets album with Tony Bennett, and I guess been doing a lot of performing with him around the world, and I think that might have gotten her to the point where you just do it over and over and over again. Where you go, okay, maybe this is a good shift in the career because she's the only one of the pop type people to be doing something like this, making a shift in the standards. And if you've got a good voice, why not try to sing the best standards and the most difficult songs? And
well, you know what's going to happen now. It's like Katy Perry's going to do like the Mikado or something, and
it's not a bad idea, Linda Ronstadt did Pirates of Penzance.
Okay. So we've seen Taylor Swift and
Actually, Taylor Swift is
guys and dolls or something,
It's rooted that Taylor Swift is. It's rumored that Taylor Swift has been named to play Joni Mitchell in a movie about the females of that that Hollywood Canyon or the Laurel Canyon or whatever it was where they were more that era. She's supposed to play Joni Mitchell, and all the Joni Mitchell fans are not happy apparently.
What do you?
I don't imagine they are.
What do you think, Jesse? You're a Joni fan.
I really don't see a problem with her portraying the early Joni Mitchell. The early Joni Mitchell's a lot different from the later, more artistic Joni Mitchell. That by the she grew a lot within 10 to 15 years. She was basically doing folk songs on a folk TV show in Canada. And then her first couple albums were that warbly sound, that female folk singer sound. And then when her voice changed due to her heavy smoking, there was also a really distinct almost change in her songwriting. And so I think that I see no problem with Taylor Swift playing the early, simpler version of Joni. I really have no problem with it. I know that everybody's super offended because they don't like her. I don't care. I think that she'd be fine.
Hey, look, if I can stomach Ben Affleck as Batman, they can deal with Taylor Swift as Joni Mitchell.
Yeah, I'm with you there.
It'll be fine. It'll work out fine. Keeping with the Oscars conversation, just a couple of little things that bugged me. Number one was the in memoriam didn't include Joan Rivers. I thought that was an oversight. And Sean Penn, the thing about who gave that son of a bitch his green card. I know it's a joke, and I read an article afterward that said that I forgot his name. Who's the bigger racist? No, that Inarotu said that he thought it was funny and all that, but even so, I just thought, oh, that was just in my book. I thought that was kind of a little tone deaf and ill-timed. But whatever. But that's really it. I thought the telecast was all right, and I wasn't too. Like I said, it wasn't mad at any of the winners. And I thought the John Travolta Idina Menzel presentation was pretty good. I thought that was well handled.
I must have missed the time when he tried to kiss Scarlett Johansson. Did you hear about this or see pictures of it? Was that on the telecast or somewhere off stage, I guess?
It must have been off stage because I don't remember seeing it on the telecast.
Yeah, he's like behind her, and he leans over and tries to kiss her, and she's frozen-faced,
wow,
not responding. You know, really weird picture, kind of. Yeah, it's Joe Biden creepy.
Wow. Like, you pulled the Joe Namath there. That's weird.
Yeah.
I enjoyed. I enjoyed the. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, go ahead, Jesse.
I was just gonna say I enjoy the one line about that one guy had about the 4 female supporting nominees, and by ordinance from in California, Meryl Streep.
Meryl Streep, yeah.
Or whatever it was.
That
was kind of funny.
That was
good.
But his whole Oscar predictions in a box.
That fell flat. Yeah.
Say, okay, let's just cut this. There's no reason for that. I mean, it was like constantly putting her on the spot. I guess I recall something from a previous Oscar thing where Billy Crystal kept going to the same person and annoying them, and that kind of became a running joke. But it was not working. Some of those jokes were falling flat. I thought overall it was a good broadcast. I did have problems with little bits of it, but overall it was. I like to see less production numbers and more of the people who won talk.
Mm-hmm.
Why they can't be 4 hours, but give them 2 minutes instead of 20 seconds? You know.
But before we advance too much further, I do want to mention, Greg, you were asking me earlier, or Denny, you were asking me earlier about was it a big fever here? Actually, the fever, of course, in Mexico happens after a Mexican wins the Best Picture and Best Director. They love this guy, and they should. They're very proud of him. And in a way, I think he's a good example for a lot of Mexicans who see that especially if you have something very viable to you can make it really easily, and you can you can make it in the States, you can make it in the States, through whatever channels. I mean, I guess it's obviously easier if you're already a famous director, but people are very proud of him. People are very, very happy that Mexico is being still represented, and that he is still basically considering himself a true representative of Mexico. They take it very seriously that he takes his nationality seriously while still enjoying the fruits of his labor in the United States. So that's when the fever hits. Like now the fever is on. Everybody wants to see Birdman. I think very few people would, for the most part, will understand it, but because it's. Unless you're like from Mexico City or one of the big towns, I don't think there's going to be any connection to the Hollywood art actor scene of the Birdman movie. But they'll see it out of respect for the director. They love the director, so that's that. Before I wanted to mention that before.
Okay, very good, very good. It's good that we can have the perspective, timely and regional. It's awesome.
We're world famous.
And Greg, what's the other big deal of the Oscars? I mean, the Academy Awards. What's the big deal? The big story.
Deal?
The bigger complaint.
The big complaint. No, the big complaint is that of course the lack of diversity among this year's field of nominees, and to the extent that
worst podcast ever.
What's that?
This podcast is the audio is crazy.
It is crazy.
We got dogs barking. We got Jeeps backing up. It's like, all right. One of the biggest complaints about this year's Oscars is, of course, the lack of diversity among the field of nominees, and it's to the extent that there is even a Twitter hashtag called Oscars So White that was worldwide, and it sort of arrives on the heels of Kanye West's recent antics at the Grammys, and how there was an article written about how that was basically a response to uh, another issue that's become a Twitter trend called white mediocrity, and how Kanye is just responding to white mediocrity, and so it's become this kind of wave of resentment over what is perceived as a slight or an intentional slight, and I don't know if that's the case. Um, it is, yes, I will say that it is. Um, it's bad. It's bad that Selma did not get nominations for Best Actor and Best Actress and Best Supporting Actor and Actress, because my feeling is if you get Best Picture nomination, you should get nominations in all the other major categories. It doesn't make sense otherwise. Um, but with that being said, it didn't shake out that way, and so what you have is a situation where there's this call for more diversity, and forward-thinking people shouldn't have a problem with that. But my question is that is it feasible? Is it attainable to have the kind of fairness and equality that people think of, that people are thinking of, given the demographics of the United States? I think, because I fall in the trap too, where it's like, oh, we try to think of what a just and fair world would look like. And so we think, oh, well, if you have 10 people in the room, then 5 of them should be white and 5 of them should be black. So that way it's 50-50. And as a matter of fact, that's not the way the demographics of the U.S. are. African Americans are somewhere in the neighborhood of 12 to 13%. Latinos are 17%. Asians are 5%. And whites are anywhere from 62 to 77, depending upon which set of data you choose to look at. It's 77 overall, but it's 62 if you remove all the people who are Hispanic who identify as white. So when you what's that?
Like George Zimmerman.
Yes, exactly. So it's kind of I think a legitimate question to ask is that, all right, if one group outnumbers another group almost better than 5 to 1, can the group that's outnumbered reasonably expect?
Are you dogs playing ball behind you?
I swear it's the Whiplash soundtrack without the drums, just the cymbals. Sorry, we're making fun of your background sound. Good.
Oh, that's all right. I don't know what's going on over there. I think. Those are the dogs tap dancing on the hardwood floor.
Gotcha. Okay. It did sound like tap dancing.
It is. Every day it's like the river dance here. So yeah, it's just like, so from a numbers standpoint, it's like is it reasonable to expect 50-50 representation when the numbers don't actually add up that way? I don't know. I don't know what the real answer is.
I have to say I disagree.
Yeah.
I think there is quality work out there done by non-white people, and it is not being recognized. There's an independent movie called Dear White People that came out last year, and I personally think it should have been recognized by the Academy, and many other films are probably out there, and we're just not getting the chance to see them. But we should have had, there should have been a nomination for David Oyelowo as Martin Luther King Jr., and I definitely think that the white people should have gotten a nomination itself, or had at least some of its cast recognized for the work they did. And I think that there is work out there, and when you have these people who are clearly there, and even if you were to make a half-hearted attempt at tokenism, you're still not going the distance. You could
Mm-hmm.
nominate the actor and the director and the film. You don't
Mm-hmm.
have to just nominate the film and the song. You can do a little bit more. There can be a more little consideration. But you're probably right in that the demographics of the Academy voters are probably skewed mostly white, and they probably see mostly white films because Hollywood is probably mostly white. Not probably, definitely is.
Right.
And you only have a few certain actors of non-white persuasion that are bankable, at least in America. But it seems like we're getting off course talking about this portion of it. In that there is quality work out there, and it should be recognized, and there should be some sort of conscious effort to recognize the stuff that's already there. What does Jesse think? You're on the mute.
Uh, um, um, I I flippy floppy. I definitely think there's would by nature of human beings, by nature of award shows or contests in general, um, there's going to be some people with a bias of some sort about something that's going to somehow, whether they want to or not, it will infiltrate their thought process in how the way they're nominating or the way they're voting. Um, um, I don't think that I can't believe, or maybe I choose to believe, that there's no true vindictive, like, conspiracy type thing, that oppressive thing. Maybe that's just, um, you know, me being wishful, you know, because, I mean, I know it's still new that, racism is over. So I know it's taking time for us to get used to it. So, with that was a joke. Um, both on my screen, both you guys are like, um, I but I think that I think that it's a yeah, there's great stuff. There's great stuff, and we know there's great stuff every year from all over the world. And only recently have we started actually including actual, foreign language films in our Best Picture nominations, which is pretty interesting, I thought. Um, um, with with great humility, I have to pray that there's no actual, uh, um, you know concerted effort to not nominate enough, but there it must have something to do with the demographics, I would imagine. I mean, yes, the Academy is, um, hugely Caucasian, and that's because Hollywood is that way. And therefore, what is the expectation of the other of what's the true expectation? Um, if uh, but I mean, maybe that's why they should be treated and watched with a more interested eye. At the same time, that may be another way of looking at it. Does that make any sense?
Yeah, absolutely. I
Uh,
just think we now all need to come together. We need to try to bridge the divide that lies between us and our races and our genders and our ages and our nationalities, and all the things that separate us need to be de-emphasized, and all the things that unite us need to be emphasized and stressed again and again and again, because a house divided against itself cannot stand.
that's right.
Here,
But but
here.
but but
Rare.
but but think about it. You're saying of course it's going to be racially charged in a way, because the movie last year was 12 Years a Slave. Maybe this year was Selma, about the the civil rights movement. You know, if you know whatever that was. Oh, no, I can't really remember it. If thank you white people, or thank you whatever
Dear,
whatever that
dear
was.
white people.
Dear White People 2 ends up being nominated. It may be for a different reason. Because I mean, but then again, it's still racially charged, isn't it? I mean, so what are we looking for? What are we looking for? A white movie that says nothing about white people, and a black movie that says nothing about black people, or vice versa? Or how do we get?
Well, I think it goes back to my original point in that what is it that what are we really expecting? Are we expecting um, some kind of this wave of just you know I don't want to call it like compensation, but like this kind of compensatory wave of almost like where uh, you have to kind of overrepresent everybody else, sort of try and tilt the balance a little bit, or are we talking about painting an accurate picture of our country and our world the way it exists right now? And I think that's where the real struggle lies, trying to reconcile those two things. Because yes, of course, you have to. There would almost have to be sort of a tilt, a sort of a backlash, or an opening of floodgates um, to kind of uh, get some more voices out there, and to sort of kind of what you were saying, Danny, to sort of let the world know what they've been missing. Um, um, so once that happens, it's like, okay, so then because again, if you were going to just represent the academy the way the country's represented, it would still be 62% white.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, that's better. Is it that much better? I mean, and that's the question that I don't know. I can't. Um, and I mean, are we still going to have situations like what happened with this Academy Awards? Maybe. Um, so I don't know. It's a it's definitely something to think about. It's definitely a tough question, and obviously we're not going to solve it tonight. Um, but it's certainly. I mean, I'm glad that we have a space where we can at least look at these issues and examine them, and and kind of see where we're at. Obviously it's better than it was way back when, and better than it was 50 years ago. But there's still a long way to go. And I guess the thing is, what this recent episode with the Academy Awards proves is that we do have to be vigilant, because you know you can do something where you have this disproportionately white Academy Awards and have it be completely unintentional,
Well, that's
and yet it still happens.
this is where we find
And
ourselves. Unfortunately, is now.
Your audio is low, Jesse.
yeah, you're real faint,
Can you hear me now? Hear me now? Oh,
very
hello,
faint,
hello.
faint.
I didn't change anything. I don't know what happened. Okay, never
Hmm.
mind.
Sorry.
That's all right.
Okay.
You didn't change anything?
Hello.
Oh,
Hello.
there we go.
Yeah.
There it is.
Let's see. What was I about to say?
Of course, the minute you turn your microphone up, those damn dogs started barking.
What was the last question towards me?
I don't know. I was just saying that I don't know what the real fix is. Like, just that even if we were to accurately represent the country the way it is now, it's still not going to be completely fair. And that's unfortunate.
Oh yeah, that's what I was saying. Is now every award show basically going to always have the slant? And I would imagine the answer is yes, right? Until there is an exact 50-50 quota, there's always going to be this. Every year there's, and that there are, of course, great independent African American films made. So it's I don't know. I'm kind of lost. I apologize.
That's all right.
Quite all right.
It's a crazy.
It was too doggy over here anyway. I couldn't hear it.
Yeah.
We're saving up all our quality broadcasts for episode 100.
That's right.
The one where we're kind of letting it. I swear, for episode 100, we're all going to be wearing tuxedos. It's going to be nothing but clips of us getting the crotch with axes. It's going to be great. Awesome.
Yeah.
We're going to forego the last song that Monkey did on this on the previous episode, but I promise we're going to have some interesting new Monkeysnot stuff for our final 2 episodes coming up. So prepare yourself for some good music.
Yeah, we should try to get one of the boys and see if they want to come too and make a visit.
That would be great. I will bounce it off them. They're very, very busy, and especially B-Love. He is a world traveler for sure, and he's always going off and doing crazy stuff.
Yeah. That's awesome.
Okay.
Yep.
We're almost out of time. Do we need to end the show, Greg?
We got about 8 to 10 more minutes.
All right.
Okay. So let's see. What's the most?
Oh, nothing. I guess we lost Jesse.
We lost Jesse somehow.
Hmm.
Hopefully he will come back. He probably just hit the wrong button. Well, what I was going to mention is one thing that's been on my bucket list is to design a video game. It's something I've always wanted to do, and it's something that's always kind of lurking in the back of my head. I really want to do this, but I keep looking online. I'm trying to decide what's the best engine. How am I going to learn an engine? What is my final goal for this? Is it something that I'm going to play, or something that I can send out to my friends to play, or something that I can put out on internet stores and sell for stuff? And it's all these things that I have to really consider before deciding if this is something that I really want to devote my time to doing, because, like I said, it's a bucket list thing. What do you think?
I think it's a great idea. Do you know what kind of a game would it be?
Yeah, there's a lot of ideas for games, but I have a really good idea for a boxing game where I really want to play up the stuff that happens in between rounds. I believe I've mentioned it long ago on the podcast, but I keep thinking there's lots, and I'm really not looking to do anything super complex, and it's not like 3D graphics or anything, but I keep looking at all these different engines. I'm just trying to sort through my mind whether this is something I want to do, because I definitely would love to do it someday, and it would be a goal that if I never did, I'd feel bad about. So,
right.
I've got to knuckle down and do this one. Yeah.
I can't say I'm a big boxing fan, but I do like boxing video games. I've always found them enjoyable, even like arcade style, like Punch-Out, but even the more deeper simulations where you have a fighter and you got to try and build him up and train him up and climb the ladder and all of that. And the different games approach it different ways. I mean, a lot of them have the standard training thing where it's like you have the abilities, speed, stamina, whatever, and depending on what you train, that's what goes, And there was one in particular I remember for the Commodore 64 where, depending on what kind of fighter you chose, in addition to choosing the fighter's name, I don't remember if you could adjust like the size or weight, but you could choose whether what the fighting style was, whether it was just a stick and move guy, or whether it was like a bulldog, game like Rocky or Jake LaMotta, and that would kind of affect what his initial attributes were, and then you can build upon them from there through training and through experience. And so I kind of like those elements where there's a little bit of the RPG stuff, where you can kind of get experience, and I like the things where you can build. You can build something. I kind of dig that about sports games anyway, that have that level where you can sort of make something into something better. I think it'd be interesting though if you had what you were talking about. It sounds like okay, you have where you could choose like different kind of managers, or maybe you have a career as a manager, and you can get experience and have certain attributes for that, and the trainer, and like depending on what level of, like, if you got a good cut man between rounds, they'll get better or not so better between rounds. That might be an interesting area to explore further. There's some games that have touched on the surface of that, where I think there was EA Sports had one where in between rounds you could have the little metal thing and you kind of moved it around and try to smooth out the thing. But actually having like a cut man attributes might be, oh, go ahead, Jesse.
As you advance in your manager status, you can get better or get additional people you wrap in the ring, or different fighters for you, right? So become a bigger famed manager as well.
And also as a fighter, depending on what kind of manager you choose, I do remember there was a game where as you got better, your choices of manager kind of expanded. And they had these certain archetypes. And of course they had the one archetype that's based on Don King, which is like, he'll get you the big fight, but he's really corrupt. And then there's the other guy who's more like Mickey Goldmill from Rocky, and they had their different ways they could help you, benefits you gain from that. One thing, though, I would say that I'd like to see, not just in box games, but in all sports games in general, is getting rid of the numerical attribute system.
Interesting.
It becomes too easy to kind of say, well, I'll just pick the guy who's got 99 or in whatever. And it makes it easier as a player, of course, to kind of shorten the time it takes to kind of build your team or whatever. But I think it might be interesting to have a game where you don't have the benefit of the numerical values. Maybe you have you got to hire a scout. And the scout's got to be the one to tell you, well, he's really good at this, really good at that, and you don't even know if the scout might not even be that good. You have to, over time, you kind of have, he gets a grade, like, based on what he says and what actually happens, and so really the only way to know for sure is to actually watch the guy play, watch it play out on the screen. And so maybe you have a vague idea, like, okay, you give him a, maybe he's got a B+ in speed. Not a numerical value, kind of a decent gauge, and so makes it a little bit tougher for you to just, instead of just cherry picking who's got the best numerical value in whatever category.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a good idea. I think there's a lot of things that could be done, and I'm going to continue investigating this stuff further, because I sit here and I listen to you, and we could talk about this for another hour at least, because it seems to be such a rich topic. What makes a game fun, and what makes a game that is good, technically good, but not fun? For example, I got to play the latest Red Dead Redemption. Is that the latest cowboy game? Rockstar Red Dead Redemption. And it was a good game, very technically excellent production values. But I got it halfway through it and got stuck on a level and never went back, and never felt bad about not going back, because it never felt like my world, like he was my character. I felt like I was activating cutscenes after doing a mission where I have to kill somebody or rescue something. It never felt involved, and that's what I kept thinking, is there's got to be a way to write a game where you feel like you're part of the world, and when people ask you questions in the game and you make answers, the world of the game remembers those answers and behaves accordingly, depending on your wins and your losses. And all these choices both conscious choices you make and random things, wins and losses, stuff that you don't necessarily have a particular control over. They all have this reverb meaning, you know.
Mm-hmm.
You don't ever feel that a game of Sim City is not yours unless you're playing a scenario, because it's the city that you created, and for better or for worse, it reflects the choices you made. So to me, to try to kind of figure out a way that that you can feel that you're influencing the world and that you are a presence in the game world and that your choices make a difference and that when you make a choice, somebody's going to remember it.
Well, there are a couple of games that I know sort of do that. Black and White is one. It's a game where you're a deity. I know what you mean, though. You're talking about from like the sandbox perspective. But there's an RPG series called Fable, and that kind of has an alignment thing where what you do eventually affects your character's appearance and how, you know, strangers will treat him or her, and that kind of thing. So it sounds like you're saying you want that applied to something like a Western genre game, where, first of all, it'd be nice to play a Western genre game where you could customize. You don't have to play as John Marston. You could be whoever you want.
Right.
And then I think it's got to be tough though for like these open-ended games, because if it's too open-ended, then what do? You're kind of sort of wandering around lost. I always feel like, all right, even if it's something like Red Dead Redemption, I'm taking part in an interactive storybook. So it doesn't bother me that I didn't get to be. Yeah, it would have been nice to be able to like change up my hat and be, somebody else. But the fact that I didn't was fine with me. I could just plug in. Okay, here's the story. Here's the missions, and I'm just sort of interacting. This little interactive novel that I'm a part of, and I get to experience this Western world, which is still pretty cool, by the way. I mean,
yeah.
Had enough sandbox elements to it. I mean, I could still steal a horse if I wanted to, if I was in that kind of a mood. So yeah, I don't know. I don't know if do you think the technology may not be there to be able to store that kind of information with all those answers? You know, it'd be quite a database to maintain. You know, not there yet though. I'll tell you what, I do like. I do wish there was a better than shoot 'em ups. You know, like it seems like everything's shoot 'em ups or first person shooters, and I think that goes to it too, Danny. It's like the level of detail you're talking about. Most video game fans are not really looking for that. You know, they want to fire it up and just start, blasting with the machine gun, and don't really have the patience to kind of sift through that level of real engagement with simulation. So I don't know if the console systems are really suited to that level of sophistication. Well, the systems I'm sure are, but the console gaming culture doesn't seem to be very simulation friendly. It seems to be more about just the arcade style. Let's just go out there and storm the beach, as it were.
Okay. Denny?
Did we lose Danny? That happens all the time. It's like I see him there in the corner, and I'm thinking, oh, okay, he's being very thoughtful and very considerate, and he's taking a long pause, and then nope, the image is just frozen for like 10 minutes. Hold on just a second. I'll be right back. My splitter here.
Hey everybody, this is live, and it's good to see everybody. So I just wanted to say, we're getting near the end of our Monkeysnot podcast. We got a few more to go with the grand finale in the next two. So please stick with us. Yeah, it should be a
Hold
fun
on, everybody.
time.
Hold on.
Here's Greg to
Here.
I'm hearing some noise.
Yeah, hold on.
So this is the bonus behind the scenes footage of
Right here.
stuff when stuff goes wrong. This is what you do. This is what you do.
All right.
Hey, welcome
Hold
back.
on. I just got. Can you hear me, Jesse?
I can hear you.
Okay, great. Danny, I just got a text from Danny. He says, "Sudden freeze. Are you still there? Still interested in the show?" Okay.
We're here, Denny. All you gotta do
We
is
are
turn on YouTube and you can watch us.
Yeah. All right. Well. Oh, Danny joined the call. There he is.
Hey, Denny, welcome back.
Welcome back, Cotter. Your dreams were your ticket out.
Hey, welcome back.
Hey, I have no idea what happened there.
You were very deep in thought, as usual.
I know. I thought, wow, he's really carefully considering what I have to say, and then 30 seconds later, I'm like, oh shit, he's been frozen there for 2 minutes, and I've been rambling like an ass. Okay, par for the course.
Well, yeah. Just wait till you hear what came. Just wait till you hear what came after that. When I was sitting here on the live broadcast babbling about nothing, well, yeah, it's good edit outable stuff.
All right.
We don't edit this show, right?
No, not hardly.
I usually make small edits on the show, but this one might be unsalvageable.
Well, all right. Well, here.
We can't cut it all wrong. It'd be
All right.
2 minutes long if we cut out all the flaws. So this one.
All right. I do. Real quick though. I want to share. Share something that I wrote. It's real brief. It's real short. There's a cool website out there called Bite Sized Fiction. That's BYTE Sized Fiction, and they publish. If you submit something, there's a chance that they will publish it. The only requirement is that it's 2 paragraphs. That's it. So I submitted something a while back, and they published it last week, and it inspired me to write another piece, short piece. And this is, as I say with everything that I write, it may be autographical, it may not be. Names might have been changed to protect the innocent or the guilty alike. Okay. This is called Your World is on Fire. Fuck karaoke, he said. He didn't yell. In fact, it was relatively quiet. But the intensity and anger behind the words had the effect of a sonic boom. His thick northern English accent only magnified the effect. Up to that point, the conversation had been light and pleasant. It was even approaching levels like jovial and jocular. But then I had to open my fat, stupid mouth and tell my new friend, a musician, about how I enjoyed going to karaoke bars. Karaoke has put more musicians out of work than anything, he continued. Of course. How could I be so stupid? His words dripped with bitterness and resentment, but he had a right to feel that way. The next time I saw him, he was on stage. He'd snagged the early evening slot at a karaoke bar. There he was, a professional musician, opening for us, a bunch of soon-to-be drunk nobodies. I watched him play his guitar and sing his goddamn heart out for a largely indifferent crowd of about 10. I clapped after every song, alone at first, but I managed to shame a few of the patrons into joining me after the second song. He finished his set and thanked us. He then glanced over at me and added, "I'll leave you to entertain yourselves then. Good night."
Oh, good. Very good.
Thank you.
Excellent work.
Well, some, you know.
You said that was based on a true story?
That actually is based on a true story. That's based on an actual conversation I had with an actual friend of mine who yeah, like I said, I made the mistake of mentioning karaoke, and that's exactly what he said to me. Um, and yeah, he did end up playing at that karaoke bar, a karaoke bar that I went to quite a bit actually, and it was it was surreal. It's like, wow, how did they, how did they, how did you get here, and more importantly, how did you convince the management to let you play there? Like, oh, I'm a guy who actually does music. Can I play at your karaoke bar? And they were like, okay, sure. Um, so it was kind of weird and kind of sad and kind of beautiful at the same time. So
As are most things involving karaoke.
yes.
You're a big lover of karaoke, right, Denny?
I am a huge karaoke fan. That's about the only time I ever drink alcohol nowadays. Whenever I'm doing karaoke.
Have you ever dreamed of just kind of getting on a plane, going to Japan for a giant karaoke tour of Japan?
So if you've seen the...
Whoa, what?
Go ahead.
I was wondering if you ever dreamed about going to Japan and going on a karaoke grand tour of Japan.
That would be awesome. Everything is awesome when you're part of the team.
That's nice callback.
My biggest fear of going out of the country is having to eat some crazy shit.
Well, don't go to Japan.
Where I go in the fucking world, I'm going to be confronted with haggis as my only meal choice.
Oh, trust me, haggis is not the worst thing. You ever had a Scotch egg?
I did. Yeah, I did. That's the worst thing, is they're going to eventually have to feed you something that you would never eat in a million years. And you're going to have to lie and go, I'm a vegan. I'm a super vegan. I don't eat anything that has ever been alive.
So you're afraid
Well, you know what it is, like...
You don't want to go out of the country because you're afraid you have to eat foreign food?
Yep.
Go to,
crazy
you know, if you find yourself... the thing is, though, if you find yourself in the British Isles, the thing to do is to go to, like, Indian restaurants. Because that they can do okay.
Yeah,
curry. You don't like Indian food?
I'm not using curry.
But no.
I'd be terrible out of the country.
Well, I got to tell you, the thing that happens is you're out and about, and you kind of like, you do what we normally do. It's where you pop into like a convenience store and think, oh, I'll pick up a sandwich, and then you forget, oh, wait a minute, I'm not in the U.S. I'm in, you know, London, and they got some weird shit in this convenience store, and so the only semi-normal looking thing in the freezer was something called a Scotch egg. And I thought, oh, that's an egg. Eggs are normal.
Soaked in Scotch.
Yeah. And no, it's actually it's a hard-boiled egg, which was the most normal part of the whole thing. But it was wrapped in like, I don't know what it was, man. Like, I think it was wrapped in like pork, and then it was coated with like this weird breading. But I think I managed 2 bites before I just like spat it out and threw it in the trash. And I was so just bummed out.
What was?
Right. It was, you know, it was just an egg. I mean, it was a hard, but just the fact that it was wrapped in that weird pork skin, you know, with the stupid breading on the outside. Just the texture of it was weird, and it just, I don't know, just weird enough to make me go, I don't want to do this anymore. I don't want to live anymore. At that point, so you know.
So do you understand? Do you feel my pain?
Yeah, but like I said, just you can find places that'll serve you reasonable stuff. Like if you go to Ireland, that's fine. You can go into a pub and get a burger and fries, and they got good beef there, and that's fine.
Okay.
Yeah.
You can get French fries in Ireland.
Yep,
yeah.
Fish and chips. You get
chips. Yeah.
Are they love French fries?
Just pub grub.
Okay.
Huh? Yeah.
Come on, unfree.
Okay.
Okay. My computer is freezing up again.
All right. Before we get attacked then by any of the gremlins, we should probably call it a rep.
We were having a great time talking, and thank you for being here. Thank all of you guys for being here.
Yes, that is all the time we have for this edition of the Monkeysnot podcast. And once again, I want to thank our good friend and co-host Jesse Morton for joining us. Jesse, thank you so much.
Thank you very much, guys. Have a great night. And
Bye, con Dios, muchacho, and thank you all out there for listening. And once again, I'm Greg Gately.
I'm Denny Sartman. For everybody in Monkeysnot, thank you for listening. Have a great night, and hope that you will tune in for our next episode.
Stay out of jail.
Bye.
tune in to our next episode. Stay out of jail.
Fly away.